The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
I was just reviewing my notes to get people up to speed on where the Boston Marathon bombing investigation was and was not, and we just learned literally 13 minutes before we went on the air, CNN breaking news update, that an arrest has been made in the Boston bombing investigation based on 2 videos showing images of the suspect, according to a federal law enforcement source who told CNN's Fran Townsend. We are waiting for more information about this. The initial reports were simply that a suspect had been identified in part because of video from a surveillance camera, a security camera, at a Lord & Taylor in Boston, Lewis, of course, the department store. And now we are being told by CNN that there has been an arrest in the case. Incredible, if this is true, and it appears to be, how quickly we went from wanting leads to having someone in custody. We don't know anything about the details at this point.
Right. Well, I mean, since those bags or whatever the bombs were in were placed during the event.
Right.
I mean, you've got the people who have the good sense to scour every video camera in every store,
That's
every
right.
part of the city, everything.
So to back up, for people who may not have known, we had a determination made by investigators that the black nylon bags, which contained what were eventually determined to be pressure cookers with gunpowder and some combinations of nails and ball bearings and other pieces of metal that would serve as shrapnel projectiles, which did a lot of damage, were not placed at the time that the Boston Marathon began, which led them to believe, okay, the individual or individuals we're looking for, we're here, we're at the finish line at some point within these few hours. Then you say, okay, let's focus on any camera in the area that may have spotted somebody that was walking by. Let's I would assume, investigate, has anybody purchased multiple pressure cookers? Were they dumb enough not to purchase the pressure cookers individually and as far from Boston as possible so as to not raise any eyebrows? All of those lines now leading to what we are told is an arrest in the case.
Right. Fascinating.
Natan, what do you know about a press conference? When would we know more about this?
Well, it seems like the FBI is going to hold a conference at 5 p.m. Eastern, and I don't know if we'll be able to know, or even then, if we'll be able to know this person's name and have a picture of them and see who the person is.
Once we know more, Lewis, right now we are at a point where we are told that an arrest has been made. We don't yet know, is this an individual? Is this somebody who is part of a broader, potentially international terrorist group? Depending on what the details are about the person, and we know we're going to know them soon, right? This is just, we've got a few hours now, potentially, maybe more, to wait. The direction of the discussion around public events and terrorism and bombs will be drastically different based on the characteristics of the perpetrator here, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right. I mean, if it's your standard white guy, disturbed, homegrown terrorist,
you're going to see one narrative.
You're going to see one narrative. You're going to see Fox saying this is a lone wolf incident. You're going to have us saying this is part of a long string of domestic, probably right-wing terrorist attacks. And if it's someone who's not white, well,
we know what happens.
Yeah, we know.
We have hearings specifically targeted at that group of people based on skin color and all those things. And there's a lot of in between also, right, Natan? I mean, when it comes to policy, when it comes to media coverage, I mean, all of these things will differ. Even though we know what the event was right now, will differ based on the characteristics of the perpetrator.
Yeah, I mean, also just in terms of what do we do about this? How do we prevent this from happening? It's totally different if it's a homegrown terrorist that has the same sort of profile as a lot of the mass shooters, young white males, versus sort of an international terrorist group where people start to say, well, what do we need to do in terms of military action in other countries to prevent this from happening? So it's a completely different scenario.
Absolutely. We're going to keep posted on this. Expect YouTube updates later today. Update on our first story today. What was initially reported as a suspect in the Boston Marathon bombing case being identified and arrested has now been pulled back, as often is the case. And now we know only that the suspect has been identified. We are expecting an FBI press conference in the next couple of hours, but no arrests have been made. That is the latest news. And it's a very fluid situation. It's not that common that we actually have live news breaking as we're on the show, but we're keeping up with it as best we can.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of not shocked there were some false reports of arrests, but everyone's trying to get, the word out there and get all the views and get all the attention.
And the question would be, soon, presumably, if they don't have an arrest, will they release images to help people track down the person, unless they already know where that person is and they want to kind of, not release that information? We will follow it.